Hello students, today I am going to take the lesson on running after one's hat written by G.K. Chesterton. Let's see an introduction about the author. Gilbert Keith Chesterton was born in London and educated in St. Paul's School and later at the Slade School of Art. He began his career as an art critic and reviewer. He is a prominent essayist, novelist, critic, poet and even dramatist. He has been referred to as the Prince of Paradox. Paradox, which means a situation or statement that seems strange or impossible. His writing consistently displayed wit and sense of humor. He employed paradox while making serious comments on the world, government, politics, philosophy, and many other topics. This essay is a typical example of Chesterton's style of writing with its fun and wit. He is an optimist and lover of life. This essay is taken from the volume All Things Considered, illustrates Chesterton's view of life and its daily annoyances and adventures. According to him, with the right perspective, even the most difficult thing will appear romantic. Let's go. Chesterton shares his own experiences. Let me read the lines from the essay. The essay begins with the intense feeling of the author. I feel an almost savage envy on hearing that London has been flooded in many absence while I am in the mere country. My own Battersea has been, I understand, particularly favoured as a meeting of the waters. Battersea was already, as I need hardly say, the most beautiful of human localities. Now that it has the additional splendour of great sheets of water, there must be something quite incomparable in the landscape or waterscape of my own romantic town. Battersea must be a vision of Venice. He talks about Battersea, his hometown in London was flooded when he was away from the countryside. Instead of feeling glad, he says that he was jealous about the opportunity he lost to enjoy the beauty of the place when it was flooded. You may ask a question, how can a person enjoy when his town was completely flooded? Yes, he considered Battersea as the most beautiful of human localities, and after the flood, the water had doubled the beauty of the place, and he compares Battersea with a city, Venice. Let me show the picture of the old cities of London. Look at the beautiful view of London. Here Battersea is located at the south bank of River Thames. Hope you can understand how Chesterton was more romantic about his hometown. Chesterton compares Battersea with the Venice. Venice is a city built in water. It is also called as Water City. The whole city is covered with water. People who live there use public boat or gondolas for transportation. Here Battersea also covered fully with water like Venice. Also, the author says that the city looks like an archipelago, which means a group of islands. See how the author can feel romantically when his town was flooded. It is not possible for every people to accept the kind of change in life so romantically. Here he employed paradox that is impossible to enjoy flood, but sometimes it can be true. Let me show you the picture of Venice. Look at the place, how the streets were completely covered with water and people used the public boats or gondolas for their everyday life. So this is how the Battersea is also looks after the flood. Let me show the picture of London when it was flooded. This is the picture of London when it was flooded. You can see the people moving in the boats from one place to the other. It was really a tough time for the people to survive in this flood time, but Chesterton feels very romantic about his town that makes him to compare Battersea to Venice. Then the author gives the different examples of inconveniences and talks about the right attitude and spirit to face the inconveniences in everyday life. To him, inconvenience is just an adventure wrongly considered by the most unimaginative person. Chesterton points out some instances of inconveniences in his essay. Let me read the line. We often hear grown-up people complaining of having to hang about a railway station and wait for a train. Did you ever hear a small boy complain of having to hang about a railway station and wait for a train? No. For to him, to be inside a railway station is to be inside a cavern of wonder and a palace of poetical pleasures. Because to him, the red light and the green light on the signal are like a new sun and a new moon. Because to him, when the wooden arm of the signal falls down suddenly, it is as if a great king had thrown down his staff as a signal and started a shrieking tournament of trains. Yes, people always have a complaint about waiting for a train in a railway station. That may be because of the crowd and the circumstances in the railway station. But children always enjoy to see a train and traveling in a train. Here a small boy who enjoys the same situation, imagining various things like signal lights to be the new sun and the new moon, and the falling of the wooden arm to be the staff of the king. Look at the imagination of the boy who can imagine in a different way and enjoys himself out of his imagination. Whereas the grown-up people who feels annoyed waiting for the train. Author himself, when he was a small boy, most of his purple hours were spent at Clapham Junction. He had been there in many moods. He says that annoyances and inconveniences depend upon the emotional point of view. He also says that one can safely apply the point of view rightly on every typical nuisance of daily life. You all know that this is the picture of railway signal. The red colored part of the signal is referred to as wooden arm in the essay. According to the boy, when this wooden arm moves down, it is as if the king had thrown down his staff as a signal for the departure of the train. Chesterton now exactly comes to the title of the essay on running after one's hat. He says that people dislike the idea of running after one's hat, not because it is tiring or exhausting, because the same people run much faster in sports. So the main idea behind this hesitation is that people think that it is humiliating to run after their hat and become laughing stock to the onlookers. Here Chesterton points out the perception of some people who always worry about others' opinion on them. People believe that when the act was done for simple thing in the life will be considered as humiliating. See, one cannot be conscious all the time thinking what the others will think of us. If a man could feel it rightly in the matter of running after his hat, he can enjoy it as if he is hunting to pursue wild animal. Chesterton say that if hat hunting becomes the sport of the upper classes in the future, there will be a meet of rich people on some high ground. Here Chesterton points out the different opinion of the people for the same act. For instance, when Chesterton saw an old man running after his hat in Hyde Park, the crowd in the park enjoyed every gesture and bodily attitude of him. The act of old man was an unaffected pleasure to the crowd. An old man never minds running after his hat, and the moment was pleasure to everyone in the park. Then he gives the example of the people who get annoyed while facing the inconveniences of taking a fly out of a glass of milk or a cork out of a glass of wine. Chesterton points out the people's view of handling daily inconveniences in life should be taken as an opportunity for exciting amusement instead of getting exasperated and annoyed. He also says how these inconveniences can be seen in an optimistic view. When a person feels irritated to take out a fly or cork out of a glass of milk or wine, can think of a moment of patience of anglers sitting by dark pool who immediately expose with satisfaction and take himself to the state of rest. The next instance is about his own friend. His friend feels irritated and annoyed because his stable drawer was jammed tight and he could not pull it out. Chesterton told him to take this annoyance as a challenge to fight against an oppressive enemy. Then the struggle of opening the drawer will become exciting, not exam. He also says the other positive way to handle his instance that the person should imagine as if he is roping up his fellow man out of an alpine crevasse. Crevasse means a deep crack in the layer of ice, which you can see it in the picture. Think that how a person can be focused on the action of saving his fellow mate when he was in a dangerous position. Likewise, when his friend pulled the drawer, he can be focused as to set free his struggle. Finally, the author said to the person to imagine as if he was a boy engaged in tug of war between French and English. After saying all these positive ways of solving his friend's problem, he felt that his words may be bored to him, but applying those imaginative practices will give him the best solution for his struggle. Chesterton had no doubt after all these practices he can handle that of a drawer with a flushed face and bright eyes, hearing encouraging shouts all around him as if he is in the ring ready to fight, imagining that everyone cheered him for his action. Chesterton says that it is not possible for everyone to accept the inconveniences and enjoy poetically. He says all the inconvenience really seems to have been caused by themselves. The only one aspect taking inconvenience as the most unimaginative and accidental aspect of romantic situation. Chesterton loved to live his life romantically and positively. Every moment of his life was lived with romantic will, and he wants everyone to live with right attitude and right perception. At the end of the essay, there is a contradictory sentence that an adventure is only an inconvenience rightly considered, an inconvenience is only adventure wrongly considered. Chesterton says that adventures are considered as inconveniences and not that inconvenience is an adventure. He concludes with a quote said by the Roman Catholic priest in the story that wine is good with everything except water, and on a similar principle, water is good with everything except wine. This is the different perception of different people. Opinion differs, but it should be in the optimistic way. There are some assignment questions. How do the children enjoy themselves while waiting for the train? How can hat hunting be made a pleasant sport? How should a person react when he tries to get a fly out of the milk? How should a person react to jammed drawers? How floods can be accepted and enjoyed poetically? Hope you understand the lesson. Thank you, students.